What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 123 of the Access of Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next. Joined by my co-host.
It's your boy, Ray Boogie Kahuna. On today's episode 123, we have UFC Qatar, Tsarukyan versus Hooker. And on the boxing end, we got a championship fight in Long Beach, California. We got a championship fight in Japan. We got 4 championship fights in Saudi Arabia, topped off with Benavidez and Yarde. But before we get into any of that, like always, my brother, please tell them what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
If you're enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, like always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have Nurullo Aliev going one-on-one with Shaqueme Aliev. Perfect. 10-0. Fighting out of Tajikistan, repping Tajikistan, 24 years old. Shem Rock is 12-1-1 overall. Fighting out of Dublin, Ireland, but repping United Kingdom, 32 years old. I'll kick it off with the kid who's debuting, Shem Rock. Well, I'll keep it Shem for short. The kid's background, it's kind of like a movie. He was a young drug-slinging hooligan from Liverpool. Got charged for a crime he didn't commit. Ended up fleeing Liverpool, going to Thailand, was on the run for 10 years. The kid found BJJ, was able to turn his life around. After he lost his first MMA fight, got arrested, got found not guilty. Now he's back home. He's training with Paddy Pimblett. He's back in Liverpool. And now he's making his UFC debut. I'm telling you, shit's just like a movie. Now, congrats on making it. Congrats on coming to the UFC. Cool story, bro. I'm not picking you. Now, don't get me wrong, both guys are shaky prospects in my opinion, right? The negative similarities that both guys share, they're striking, mediocre. The output is low. Both guys don't like fighting off their back feet. They don't like going backwards. They're both uncomfortable under pressure. And the third round cardio, a little suspicious to say the least, right? For both guys. If I had to say, I think Aliev's boxing is a little better than Shem's. I think Shem's kickboxing is a little better than Aliev's. But I do think Shem's chin is a little sus. I feel like he's like back take or bust from, the tape that I watched. And on the Nurullo side, I feel like even though he's got the wrestling advantage here, he kind of, in his past 2 fights, kind of leaves himself in the danger zone when it comes to getting submitted. Now, he hasn't been submitted yet, but that's Shem's background. He's a BJJ guy. I'm going to be picking Aliev by decision here, and it's plainly for just a couple reasons. He's younger. He's got the better strength of schedule. I think he's just fought the more impressive guys. When it comes to Dagestani wrestlers versus Tajikistani, if that's a word, wrestlers, or, the guys in the Sambo, I prefer the Dagestani guys over the Tajikistan guys, but I prefer the Tajikistan Sambo wrestling over the Malaysian BJJ.
Right.
I'm just going to keep it a buck. And this might be a reoccurring theme throughout the podcast. They are in Qatar, ladies and gentlemen. So for that and that reason alone, even though I am shaking on Aliev, I'll take Aliev by decision here.
Yeah, and just to reiterate on this being in Qatar, these lines just dropped today, and today's Friday. So, I know we release on Sundays. This is always pre-recorded, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a little weird that these odds took a little longer than usual to drop. And I suspect it's because Vegas was having a hard time lining these fights for a lot of reasons, right? This could be a competitive matchup in the States. Like one where I think you have a little bit more of a comfortable time betting the dog. But I'm with my brother here. They're in Qatar. I think they're trying to serve up Aliev here to a good win. He is the Tajikistan Eagle. His favorite fighter was Khabib. All the signs on the wall just point to him winning this fight, plus the stylistic matchup. I agree with my brother. I trust his wrestling to mitigate and control a lot of minutes in this fight. He doesn't land as much ground and pound or go for as many submission attempts as I'd like. But once again, they're in Qatar. I suspect the referee is going to let him do what he's got to do, which is, hug, kiss, and, and cuddle.
And cuddle.
So give me Aliev here by decision.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Saygid Izagakhmaev going one-on-one with the Danish dynamite Nicolas Dalby. Saygid is 22-2 overall, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 31 years old. Dalby is 23-6-1 overall, fighting out of Denmark, repping Denmark, 41 years old. Now, first and foremost, I just want to give props to Dalby. He's taking a difficult fight against a hot and young Pause. Up and comer in a tough fight. Dalby is always a decent dog. And I have enough respect for Dalby to not put any of his fights on a parlay. His path is tough. I think he's got to make it dirty. I think he's got to make this a very messy fight, lean into his cardio, but I don't think he's going to win this fight. Saygid is quote unquote one of Khabib's many proteges. So that being said, he does exactly what you think he does. Obviously, he's not as proficient or as elite as Khabib, but he's coming from that same camp, so you already know what he's going to do. Saygid, however, again, not perfect because he's not Khabib, has shown that he can be caught. In his last fight, he got subbed by Carlston Harris. And if you know Carlston Harris, wicked BJJ. And I think he caught him in a Darce or an Anaconda. Don't recall it, but it was like some kind of front headlock choke series. Saygid, outside of that, has only really struggled to like other Sambo grapplers for the most part. Dalby is not a Sambo grappler. Dalby can't stop the takedown. I think this is Izagakhmaev's fight to lose. Give me Izagakhmaev via sub. And I'm calling the shot now. I was leaning decision initially, and I know Dalby has not been submitted, but Dalby's 41. Hot take. This is possibly the best wrestler Dalby has fought. And again, to remind everyone, we are in Qatar. Izagakhmaev by sub. That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I'm with you on the sub decision here. I think probably sub more likely than not. Dalby has never been sub before, but he was also never knocked out to his last fight either. He's 40 plus years old. I think these are signs that, you know, the time might be coming. He's also making a quick turnaround from that fight too, if I recall correctly. I'm gonna take a quick look just to double check. Yeah, he got knocked out bad roughly about 6 months ago.
And again, just a footnote, Dalby has been, as of recently, been lined as a dog in most of his fights. And he's been hitting as a dog for most of his fights. For the majority of them, at least. So I do not necessarily hate a dog shot on Dalby here, because Dalby, again, can make this messy, can make this a dirty fight.
I agree 100%. I think that's where I'm leaning Saygid here. I think he's going to be able to draw them with the wrestling. Dalby might be able to survive the exchanges too, which is why I'm giving like the decision as a preface, and he is a fucking dog. He's not going to give up in there, but this is probably the best submission, if not one of the best submission grapplers he's faced. And I do think Saygid's going to have many opportunities to find his neck in this fight. Yeah, he got choked up by Carlston Harris, but Carlston Harris is a stud. Saygid is a big dude. Dalby's going to be looking up at this guy. He's 41 years old. Give me Saygid by decision or sub here.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have the Man of Steel. It's not Superman, it's Ryan Loder going one-on-one with Ismail Naurdiev. Loder, 7-2 overall. Fighting out of California, 34 years old. Naurdiev is 24-8 overall. Fighting out of Morocco, repping Morocco, 29 years old. Now, I'm still kind of having a hard time picking a side in this fight. Like initially, I leaned Ismail, but I mean, for the obvious reasons. He's younger, he's more experienced, he's the more well-rounded fighter, in my opinion here. Also, again, common theme. They are in Qatar. I'm going to keep repeating this. But even though I do think he's the more well-rounded fighter, there are flaws to his game, and there's a decent amount of flaws. I do have questions about his chin. He has no finishes at the UFC level. 30-plus fights. You go down the resume, who is he really beat? Got to put that out there. I also question the IQ and decision-making just a little bit in the fight. Also, I don't like the lack of urgency that I see in his fights, and the cardio can be an issue as the fight goes on, the deeper the fight goes on, right? Now, Loder's a wrestler, and he'll sprinkle in the striking, but you know, the wrestling's his bread and butter. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's going to try to do in the octagon. Now, he is older. The striking might be a little mediocre. He definitely has less experience in MMA, and you know, tough fighters in general don't really have the best track record after tough, you know, succeeding in the UFC. I mean, outside of like Brad Katona and guys like that, right?
Right.
But there's obvious positives to Loder's game as well. I think outside of his last fight, I still kind of trust Loder's chin more than I trust Ismail's. I also trust the cardio a little more than Ismail's. I like that he's a go-getter. I like that he fights with urgency. I also trust him to seek the finish more. And I do think in this particular matchup, he could find some success in the wrestling. So it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. Probably dog or pass. The vibes are a bit off, so I'm against my better judgment. I think I'm going to be leaning Loder here. But you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to repeat it again. They are in Qatar. But give me Loder by decision.
Yeah, I'm there too. I'm not completely sold on Ryan Loder. I think this is a pure dog or pass spot. Ryan Loder sitting at a plus 144 dog, and that's where I'm at. I might pass more likely than play to be frank, but I'm with you. I think Naurdiev has a lot of flaws in his game. I think he's super questionable. I think he's a super questionable semi-prospect that the UFC is trying to push here. I think they're trying to give him a winnable fight here too. I'm looking at like narratives and thinking about how the UFC's looking at this. They are giving this guy Ryan Loder, who is predominantly a wrestler who doesn't have the best striking in Qatar, but I'm still there. I think this is a fight that Ryan Loder could probably find the finish, to be frank. So I think it's a dog or pass in the money line. I trust Ryan Loder's ability to finish more than Naurdiev's, even though the fight experience is vastly in Naurdiev's favor. I think there's some fraudish qualities to this guy. That's all. So I think it's dog or pass. Give me Ryan Loder as a possible dog play. Probably more pass than not, but follow us on our social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have the returning Kyoji Horiguchi going one-on-one with Tagir Ulanbekov. Horiguchi is 34-5 overall. Fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, but repping Japan. 35 years old. Ulanbekov is 17-2 overall. Fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 34 years old. Now, this is going to be a banger flyweight fight. Horiguchi was supposed to make his debut, or I guess return, in June versus Tagir. They kept this matchup together. Horiguchi had to pull out because of a rib injury. Horiguchi returning, you know, the legend. He's 7-1 in the UFC. His only loss coming to, I think it was Demetrius. You know, then he left the UFC, went to Rizin. I guess that was around the time where Dana White kind of wanted to decimate the flyweight division. So, you know, he went on to better and bigger prospects in Rizin. I gotta have some questions with his return, you know. Does the old man still have it? Has the flyweight game evolved since he's left? I still think he's got a little bit in the tank. I also think that his experience is going to carry him in a lot of his fights. Tagir is an interesting opponent because I don't think Horiguchi's fought anybody from the Dagestani Sambo lineage, to my knowledge. But Tagir isn't unbeatable, in my opinion. Tagir's cardio is sus. We know that. We know he's got decent striking, but the power is lacking. You could poke holes in the resume as well. He lost to Zumagulov, which really hasn't aged as well. He's also lost to an aging Tim Elliott. Really hasn't aged as well. He arguably lost to Nascimento. I thought he lost to Nascimento. And in his last fight, struggled to take down Maxim. I think Horiguchi, even though he's outsized, he's the better MMA fighter. He has the better striking. He has the power. I think he can compete in the grappling. Again, he has more experience. So I'm willing to kind of give Horiguchi a shot here. I think Horiguchi wins this via decision. If Tagir starts to gas a little bit, I don't hate maybe a second round, third round finish. But give me Horiguchi. Give me the legend to, you know, make a triumphant re-debut or re-return. And, you know, welcome back to the UFC, my man.
Yeah, I'm with you here. You're a little more confident than I am. I feel like the UFC is not doing anybody that's coming back into the promotion from Bellator or PFL any favors.
I agree with that.
I think this is stylistically one of the tougher fights in the division for Horiguchi, just because of the size.
I also forgot to mention, they are in Qatar.
They're in Qatar. They're in Qatar. Tagir has a very good front headlock series. He has a very good jab. Horiguchi's main objective is to try to get this to the floor. And I agree. I think he's the best. I think he has more power, but I don't remember the last time he's fought someone that he's had to work on the outside with this outside of Patchy Mix. And you seen how that fight went. Yeah. Patchy just laid on him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely going out on the limb here. I'm not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, this, again, to my knowledge, the only Dagestani wrestler he's fought.
Yeah, which is, I don't know if he's going to win minutes the way people think he could win minutes in this fight. And I just hate that the UFC is just dishing up these guys. It's like the WWE or WWF treatment to WCW wrestlers when they, you know, absorb the company. They're just letting you know that these guys are a tier above in the UFC. And stylistically, I don't think this is the best matchup for Horiguchi to come into. It's in Tagir's backyard. Tagir, good front headlock series. Tagir bigger, Tagir good jab, Tagir getting better. God, I understand the dog or pass play here. I do. I understand it. If you're there, I'm not entirely there yet. I'm going to be on the other side of this fight. I'm going to lean Tagir.
I respect that.
But not with a high degree of confidence because I do respect Horiguchi that much. I followed his career since pretty much its inception in the UFC. But like I said, this fight stinks a little bit for Horiguchi, in my opinion. I think stylistically it's a bad fight. It's just not the best fight for him to walk into, and it's in his backyard. You know, so once again, we are in Qatar. So
bars.
Give me Tagir for the lean. I'll say by decision or submission, but give me Horiguchi as a possible dog play come fight night. I'll see. But this is one of those fights I think I'm going to switch back and forth from. But I feel pretty adamant about Tagir. at this point. But follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the debuting Luke Riley going one-on-one with the unleashed Bogdan Grad. Riley is perfect. 11-0, fighting out of Liverpool, repping England, 26 years old. Grad, 15-3 overall. Fighting out of Austria, repping Austria, 30 years old. Now we got another guy from Liverpool making his debut on this card. The second guy from Liverpool. A guy who I think probably stands a little better of a chance than his other, teammate in Shamrock. I don't think Shamrock's winning his fight. I think there's a good chance Luke can win this fight. He's undefeated, tons of knockouts. The guy's got solid hands. The boxing is it's clean. It's technical. He has power in both hands. I think he can get to Bogdan Grad here. Bogdan Grad's a guy who likes to strike, but the defense is a little lacking. But there is a clear path for Bogdan Grad here, and is the grappling. And we've seen it in his last fight. He will, and is willing to go to the grappling. I think that's where Luke is kind of weak. Now, do I trust that Bogdan's wrestling is good enough to hold down Riley? That's where I'm kind of having some questions, because Riley, even though he can be taken down and held down, has a decent get-up game. Bogdan's wrestling is solid, but I don't think it's that great. I don't think his control wrestling is that solid. Close fight. I probably should be leaning Grad here because I think he has the clearer path, but the vibes are off on this one. I think Riley probably smokes him. First, second round. So give me Luke Riley here for the win, but the confidence is very low. It's very minimum. And listen, they are in Qatar, but there's no bias here. There's an Austrian versus a guy from Liverpool. So, don't know if that's going to take too much into account on how this one plays out. But tentatively, give me Luke here. I'm not too confident. I'm probably going to be wrong for the win.
Nah, I'm with you. And I'm one Luke, but I think there's a dog or pass play. They got Bogdan Grad sitting at plus 200 right now.
Ooh.
I feel like that's enough of a lucrative line to consider playing the dog, because I think this could possibly be a close fight. But there's also the round where Luke sparks him. So Bogdan does get hit a lot, man. Like, he gets hit a lot. I mean, he's a zombie. So you got to bank on that, but you have to bank on him going to his wrestling early and often. Which, if he's smart, he will, because I think he can exploit this guy. He's very physically strong. Riley, I won't say necessarily is either, even though he is the taller guy. He's going to be the lankier guy in there. But in terms of like pure physicality, it's on Bogdan's side here. So I think this is a pure dog or pass play. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there, but I'm on Luke as well. I think Luke's probably going to catch him because his striking is that crisp, but I don't hate the dog look here. So dog or pass. I'm going to lean Luke for the lean, but Bogdan possibly as a dog play come fight night. Once again, follow us on our social media platforms for those final plays as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have Bekzat Almakhan going one-on-one with Aleksandre Topuria. The Turin Warrior is 12-2 overall. Fighting out of Kazakhstan, repping Kazakhstan, 28 years old. Topuria, 6-1 overall. Fighting out of Spain, but repping Georgia, 29 years old. Topuria, who made his debut earlier in the year, was supposed to be against Cody Hatton, ended up being Kobe Thickness. You know how I feel about the thickness. Pause. And that fight ended up going to decision. That fight, I had some questions about Topuria because he's going to get the comparisons. Is he like his brother? And in a lot of ways he is, but in a lot of ways he isn't.
Correct.
Now, when I say it like that, I mean, listen, he's got very good boxing technique. He plots forward, decent footwork, just like his brother. The head movement, excellent, just like his bro.
Pause.
Doesn't go to the grappling. Well, at least not in his last fight. Maybe because it was a last-minute changeup and he knew that, Kobe's path to victory was on the ground. Kobe is a little better on the ground than he was on the feet. Also, it's his UFC debut, so maybe he just wanted to take it easy, be a little careful, but if he fights like that here against Bekzat, I don't think that's going to work out for him the way he thinks it's going to work out for him. Bekzat made his debut against Umar in a fight that was another short notice fight, but it was a competitive fight. But a fight where Bekzat was able to clip Umar, I think, twice in that fight.
Yep.
But Umar was able to get the better of him in the wrestling, was able to control him, take away his best weapons, which are his left and his right, and kind of like, just grind him out to a decision victory there. Bekzat in his last fight sparked Bracketona, a guy who's never been knocked out.
First guy that's finished him.
Hit him with the lovely uppercut. Bekzat's hands are fast. He hits hard. He hits from different angles. His boxing is not as clean as Topuria's. I think speed kind of makes up the difference in the technique here. I think Topuria, if he wants to win this fight, even though I do trust his defensive movement a little more on the feet, I think the clear path is just to take down Bekzat. Topuria does have a couple knockout losses on his record. On the feet, this is going to be like fireworks. It's whoever connects on who first. But Topuria is going to have to prove it here in the grappling. I'm back and forth on this one because I got a feeling the popular pick might be Topuria. But I think I want to take Almakhan here.
And Vegas is confused as well. They have this fight line as a pick'em.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Give me Almakhan here for the win. I think Topuria's got to prove it. I can't just assume that his wrestling is as good as his brother's. I can't assume that his boxing is as good as his brother's. We got a limited sample size here from his last fight, and he looked okay. Now, was that UFC debut jitters? Who knows? Maybe he fights better here. Bekzat's going to make it dirty, and I think he's going to make it uncomfortable. And I think Bekzat's got a legit shot to win here. So give me Bekzat, Almakhan. I don't know if it's for the upset or not, but I don't know if it's the popular pick or not, but I'm kind of liking him in this victory here.
Yeah, the popular pick is actually Topuria, but I'll be honest, I'm with you here. I think this is probably a dog or pass spot. I'm suspecting that Topuria is going to flip to favorite money, like heavy favorite money, or at least moderately favorite money. So I think it's dog or pass. I think Bekzat's very good. I think he might be the physically more imposing guy in this fight, even though the dimensions are the same. I have to see the face-off. And Topuria doesn't necessarily have the biggest power in his hands like his brother. So you have to convince me that Topuria is going to be able to hurt him. But I am with my brother here. I think you have to trust that Topuria is going to go to his wrestling here, because the Topuria brothers, even though the UFC champ Ilya is a knockout artist, they're wrestlers at base. Like, that's their base. They are wrestlers at heart, and that's what they want to get to. That's what Ilya came in with when he first started in the UFC, and I think Aleksandre is probably going to get to that a little bit in this fight when he realizes that Bekzat's not such a slouch on the feet and can crack. So for me, clear path to victory is going to be Topuria with the wrestling. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Bekzat's going to be completely lost with this guy either. And I think Umar is a little bit of a better grappler than Topuria too. So UFC experience, possibly size, power, I got to lean Bekzat here, man. And I hope he flips the dog money, because that's exactly where I would take him. Give me Bekzat for the win here.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Marek Bujło going one-on-one with Denzel Freeman. Marek is perfect. 6-0. Fighting out of Poland. Repping Poland. 32 years old. Freeman, 6-1 overall. Fighting out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. 34 years old. Nothing like big old bumpy, beefy men bumping meat. Pause, hey yo. We got two guys debuting here. One on the jiu-jitsu specialist side. The other an All-American Greco-Roman wrestler. I'll start on the Marek side. I tried to find as much tape as possible online. I found a couple of fights of his. The guy likes jiu-jitsu. He's a jiu-jitsu specialist, a jiu-jitsu player. And the 3 fights that I was able to find online, didn't really get to see that much of his striking. It looked a little shaky, just gonna be completely honest. The takedown entries, a little sus, kind of like just walking in with a bear hug, going in for the body lock, and then taking the guy down, and then just straight ground and pound for the most part. Denzel, on the other hand, was able to find some tape on this guy. I mean, used to fight in the PFL, used to fight in the LFA. I already like the guy's strength of schedule way more. I already like the guy's background more. You know, I'm more of a wrestler over BJJ guy. I've always made that point on this podcast. No exception here. I'm going to be taking Denzel Freeman for the win. I think he gets him out early. First, second round. I think he's going to be able to control Marek on the ground. Now, what I do worry is if this fight does get extended, Freeman, there's 2 things I don't like about him. He doesn't like pressure. And I don't know if he's going to get that exactly from Marek, because I really haven't seen that much striking from him. And 2, cardio is a little bit on the suspicious side. If Marek ends up on top, don't know how Freeman's going to fare off his back. So either way, I like this fight not to go. It's either Freeman KO or Marek sub. I like the unders. I like this fight not to finish. But give me the wrestler. Give me Freeman for the win via KO. I'll say rounds 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm on your side here. I think Freeman, they don't have a line on this fight. I'm suspecting he's going to be the dog for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. I think that's just my hunch. But I think this is dog or pass, to be frank. This is a low-level fight. These are two guys that are kind of getting introduced to the promotion. But I'm with my brother here. I trust that Freeman can wrestle this guy down. He has better inside and outside trips with the Greco-Roman. Marek plays right into his strength. Marek likes to get to the body lock, to get you to the floor, to work to the mount. I don't suspect he's going to be better than Freeman there because Freeman's a national champion, if I'm correct, or an All-American wrestling champion, rather. Whichever one, I'm not too sure, but it's one or the other.
Got credentials.
He's got credentials, and I trust that he is going to land the more damaging shots. He has a very sneaky left high kick. It's very fast. Marek kind of fights recklessly. The only thing I worry about is Marek's pressure a little bit, but his striking is such dog shit that it's like he's just going to try and crash the space to grab hold of Freeman. And I just think that's going to work into Freeman's strength. I think Freeman can wrestle. I think Freeman probably is the bigger puncher here. The dimensions, I'm going to take a quick look just to make sure I am not talking out of my ass here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Marek is a little bigger, a 0.8 on the reach advantage. But, you know, I just think Freeman's got the better shit, to be frank. So I think this is dog or pass. It's interesting if this fight gets into the later rounds, how it looks because of Freeman's gas tank. But I think Freeman's going to be a fucking hammer on this guy. So give me Freeman, not with a high degree of confidence. Follow us on our social media platform to see if we get there.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have AbdulRakhman Yakhyaev going one-on-one with Raffael Saygid. Yakhyaev is perfect, 7-0. Fighting out of Turkey, repping Turkey, 24 years old. Saygid, 11-3 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. I'll just cut straight to the chase in this one. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but I'm going to bring it back up. We are in Qatar. This just feels like a setup fight. Yakhyaev, bit of a beast. Undefeated, hits hard. The guy's striking is so nonchalant. He's very comfortable in there. Very calculated, hits with power. He throws kicks with power. And obviously from being on that side of the world, you know he's got the grappling. Feels like a setup fight. Raffael's coming off a 3-fight losing streak. They're putting him against this undefeated killer.
Horrible fighter.
What are we doing here? We are in Qatar. Give me Yakhyaev for the win. ITD by however he wants, I'm assuming. I'll say KO.
Yeah, and since my brother covered that gentleman, I'll cover the more terrible and horrible.
Horrible fighter.
I'll be honest, this guy has a lot of physical gifts. He has a lot of redeeming qualities. I think the UFC had high hopes for him when he got signed. Training partner Jalton Almeida, big, can grapple, physically strong. But man, he just has not shown it at this level. He's just fallen apart in every fucking fight he's been in. He was the favorite against Aslan, got sparked. Was the favorite against Modestas Bukauskas, which I thought was a more favorable matchup because he could probably get to the wrestling there. Got sparked. I actually faded Julius Walker against this guy's last fight because he was sitting at like a plus 600 favorite. I mean, like 600 dog rather. And that fight was actually close in some of the exchanges. Like, I think, if I remember correctly, Saygid had him in a dangerous spot. And I think Julius Walker's a little overrated. He's just a good athlete that likes to cage push and get his elbows and knees going. But he can't fight in space. He's a guy that's not like a notoriously good grappler. So I said, fuck it. I'll take a fly on Saygid. Burnt me there too. Now you're fighting. Now he's fighting a guy. Now he's fighting a guy that I think can fuck all those guys up.
Oh,
like, you know, so
in the same night, probably.
In the same night, back to back. You know, I'm just being honest. Yeah, line them up. So for me, this is a fight where I think Saygid is going to get not only his ass whooped.
They would have been packing them up.
But I think he's going to get his walking papers, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be 4 fights in a row, and it's going to be 4 fights like horrifically. I don't expect this fight to get out of the first or second round. I think Yakhyaev is the real deal. I think he's very talented, and Saygid just hasn't shown it to me at this level. Even against a lower tier heavyweight like Julius Walker, who he has tremendous upside, he's just not there yet. And Saygid is a BJJ guy and made a lot of flaws positionally to lose that fight. So can't get my head around them. I'm good. Fuck you. You're going to get faded in this fight, and I'm fading you officially. You know, Contender Series is going to swing around again. We're going to find some new guys. They're going to shelf him, or they're just going to cut him. I think this is it for him. Give me Yakhyaev. And on a side note, considering Jalton's horrid performance last fight where he tried to lay and pray, even more reason to get this guy the fuck out of there. So give me Yakhyaev for the win here. ITD. I think he gets it however he wants.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have No Time. Volkan Ozdemir going one-on-one with Atomic Alonzo Menafield. Ozdemir, 20-8 overall. Fighting out of Switzerland, repping Switzerland, 36 years old. Benavidez, 17-5-1 overall. Fighting out of Texas, 38 years old. I wish I could believe in Benavidez, man. I mean, I like the guy. I think the guy's talented. I think he's, you know, an athletic specimen who can hit hard, who can go to the grappling if he wants to. But I mean, the guy he just doesn't put it together. He's low output. The decision making, you know, is up in the air sometimes with him. It's like, I never know if I'm getting fully locked in Atomic or unlocked Atomic.
No time for Atomic.
It's going to be no time for Atomic. Spoiler alert. I'm taking Ozdemir here for the win. I mean, the guy's got a plethora of experience. Guy's proven. He's going to be the better striker here, in my opinion. Alonzo is literally KO or bust, in my opinion here. I think even if Alonzo wanted to push the grappling, I don't think he's going to have that much of a successful time as people think against Ozdemir. Give me Ozdemir for the win. I would like to say by knockout, but I could see this going to decision as well. Might be some plays here and there, but I'd say decision KO is kind of where I'm leaning for Ozdemir at the moment. Ozdemir is my pick.
Yeah, I think people are going to be reminded that Volkan Ozdemir contended for a title against DC. This guy's very good.
Hey, you could argue maybe he's been around for too long, man. Maybe no time is out of time.
Now, I just think that people forgot that this guy fought for a belt against DC, and he has tremendous takedown defense. He was a former training partner of the late, great Rumble Johnson, who, by the way, is a stud wrestler and cracks. So there's two things I know about Ozdemir. He has very good wrestling, underrated wrestling, and underrated takedown defense, unless it's against someone like Daniel Cormier, who's probably the best technical wrestler in this division's history. And he has a tremendous chin because he had to take shots from Rumble Johnson for days at a time. This is a tough fight for Alonzo. It really is. I think Alonzo can get away with what he does against lower tier opponents. This is not a lower tier opponent. This is a guy that's going to be able to stop the takedowns, hits very hard, can take probably what Alonzo gives unless he catches him with a fluke knockout. I think Ozdemir styles on him, man. I think Ozdemir is going to beat the fuck out of him, to be frank. I think Ozdemir gets him out of there. I'll say knockout. It could get to decision. I say less likely than not because I think Benafield's gas is horrid.
I agree.
Especially when he's getting pressed by a guy and taking damage.
Good point.
Give me Ozdemir by knockout here. We'll see how the lines play out to my brother's point, but follow us on all social media platforms for that. But this is Ozdemir's fight to lose, clearly.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Jack the Joker Hermansson going one-on-one with Mirtabek Orabai. Hermansson is 24-9 overall. Fighting out of Norway, but repping Sweden, 37 years old. Orabai is 14-2-1 overall. Fighting out of Kyrgyzstan, repping Kyrgyzstan, 27 years old. Now, this is a interesting fight for a couple of reasons. I mean, we got Hermansson here, who's, he's got the thicker resume, but, not coming off the greatest loss, in my opinion. He's a little older. To be exact, in this matchup, he is 10 years older, and he is moving down in weight. I'm not a fan of older fighters moving down. I think if the older you get, I think you should be moving up because it helps with the chin. You're not at a speed disadvantage. I think it's more beneficial for older fighters to move up.
Particularly after getting sparked by Gregory Rodriguez about 4 or 5 months ago.
Oof, quick turnaround too.
Yeah, he fought him in June and got knocked out in June, and it was late June, so it's less than that's like 4 months.
And now we got Orabai on the other side, a guy who is moving up in weight.
But more comfortably for Orabai, because Orabai's fought at welterweight before on multiple occasions and had success.
And Orabai is a bigger guy. So, like, moving up in weight, he's still going to be kind of a big guy. Pause. I mean, Orabai is a beast, durable, hits hard, and obviously the bread and butter for him is the grappling. I think this is Orabai. I don't want to say all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, but I think the odds heavily favor the man to win this fight more times than not. He's not the more technical guy here. I mean, Jack Hermansson's a very smart fighter, and maybe his experience can, get him through a lot of what Orabai is going to throw at him. But man, the speed, the power, and the grappling, it's tough. It's tough. It's an interesting fight, but I think I'm going to be leaning Orabai here for the win, and maybe Orabai even gets a finish here. I'll put my nuts on the table. Give me Orabai ITD. I think that's what I'm going to be leaning for this one.
This is a very interesting contest to my brother's point for those factors. I also think stylistically it's super interesting because this is a fight where Jack Hermansson could probably keep him on the outside for minutes at a time and probably point his way to a decision here. I'm not there because I don't trust his chin. And I'm not going to trust his chin with a 15-pound depletion. I'm with my brother here. I always feel like you should move up in weight, particularly after a bad knockout, but he's not a very big middleweight. And I think that's why he decided to make this move down to welterweight. Doing that after getting hit like that.
At 37 too.
It was a bad knockout. If you didn't see it, go watch it. It was bad. He took minutes to get up. And now Orbai has some decent pop. And listen, this is a guy in Orbai who he was moving around Bilal Muhammad in training when he was at 55, like moving Bilal around. So I'm not saying Bilal Muhammad is an elite level fighter, but I mean, you know what? Let me put some respect. I remember the name because he was the fucking champion. And this is Orbai. The footage was from Orbai moving him around before he actually got the belt.
True.
So this is a hungry Bilal getting moved around by an up-and-coming Orbai. He moved around easily Medic at this weight class, but Medic can't grapple, so we have to keep that caveat as well. This fight is fucking interesting.
High variance. I could see it going a lot of different ways.
Yeah, which is why in a lot of ways, I feel like we should probably stay off of it. Like, I could see there's a path here for Jack. It's weird because I feel like there's a fight where if it hits the mat, Orbai, the thing is too, like, I can't even say that either because Jack can fucking grapple. It's not like Jack is a novice with the grappling. Is Orbai gonna have a hard time taking him down? There's a world just because of the size, but I suspect that the chain wrestling and the inside trips will get to Jack. I don't trust Jack at this weight class because of the depletion, the age, and the wear and tear on the chin from the last contest. I'm gonna lean Orbai, man, but not with a high degree of confidence. I could see this easily being a dog or pass spot. If you're asking me, if you're picking Jack, you pick by decision. I'm curious to see what that prop looks like, considering Jack is sitting at a plus 164. Orabai's got a monster chin at 55. He's going to have a monster chin at 70. That Rembeki fight should tell you everything you need to know. Give me Orabai, not with a high degree of confidence. Don't be surprised at a possible dog play, particularly Jack Hermanson via decision come fight night. But follow us on all social media platforms as usual for the final plays and looks.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, going one-on-one with Shamil Gaziev. Spivak is 17-6 overall. Fighting out of Moldova, repping Moldova, 30 years old. Shamil is 14-1 overall. Fighting out of Bahrain, repping Bahrain, 35 years old. Now, this is a fight where I wish I can believe that it's gonna be more competitive, but I just got a feeling this is gonna be Shamil. Sergey, he just strikes me as one of these guys where it's like, he's the younger fighter. He's gonna probably be the more, light-footed fighter, the quicker fighter. Both guys probably lacking athleticism, but I'll lean Spivak for being the more, fleet of foot, maybe even the faster hands, who knows? But what the boy lacks is heart, Like, when the going gets tough, that man gets going, unfortunately. And Shamil, listen, that boy hits hard. He's a great personality, by the way. And he's got grappling. Now, what he looks like off his back would be interesting. I think Spivak has the talent to get him there, but I don't believe the heart. The heart's not there. So yeah, I think Shamil's going to push him against the cage, take him down, and fuck him up. That's what I think. Give me Shamil here for the win. I'd say via KO. I mean, maybe Spivak proves me wrong. I would like for him to prove me wrong because I think he's not as whack as, I'm portraying him right now on the cast, but it's hard to trust these guys who are kind of just wishy-washy in terms of like how locked in they are and and they feel or face a little bit of adversity and they just don't know what to do with it. Shamil, I know that guy he's built for tough. So, and they are in Qatar. So just throw it out there. Give me Gaziev via KO.
Yeah, I think Gaziev is a more well-rounded fighter. I'm with my brother here. I think when it comes to Spivak and his heart,
this is number one bullshit.
I think he looks for the door. Every time he's been met with resistance, he folds, gone, stuffed his takedowns, got him out of there. Jailton Almeida, he didn't know what to do. Jailton was able to pick him up, put him down, get his back, do what he wanted to him. Waldo Cortez pretty much was able to keep him on the outside after he, some failed attempts, and that's when he went to his attempts. So not only are you betting, if you're betting Spivak, you are hoping he goes to the wrestling here. You gotta hope he goes to the wrestling, which he selectively just wants to do sometimes. It's like he doesn't sell out for it. At least Jailton, if I'm picking Jailton, I know he's gonna fucking sell out to get the wrestling going.
He's definitely gonna sell out.
So for me, it's like Spivak doesn't even do that, and his striking ain't that good. Gaziev throws punches down the pipe. He has a better submission game, in my opinion. I think he has enough wrestling here to deal with Spivak. He definitely is also gonna have the size to match the physicality. He's actually the bigger and longer guy by half an inch here.
He'll probably be the heavier guy as well.
Yeah, so yeah, by about 9 to 10 pounds. This is Gaziev's fight to lose, ladies and gentlemen. I think he beats the fuck out of him. I think he stops him. Give me Gaziev ITD here. here.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have Alex Perez going one-on-one with Asul Amabayev. Perez is 25-9 overall. Fighting out of Lemoore, California, 33 years old. Almabayev is 22-3 overall. Fighting out of Kazakhstan, repping Kazakhstan, 31 years old. I love flyweight fights. I'll reiterate this one time, two times, every time. Banger fights. This fight, no exception. I think on paper, and probably the popular pick here is going to be Almabayev, and he should win, theoretically, right? I think he has a lot of advantages, and he's not as shop-worn as Alex Perez. But that being said, man, the disrespect that I've been seeing coming Alex Perez's way is kind of fucking nuts. Alex Perez is fucking good. He gave Yakhyaev on short notice a run for his money. I mean, the guy lost to Tatsuro Taira, but it was fucking Tatsuro Taira. And I know it's kind of risky, you know, backing a guy who got his fucking, was it his knee that got shredded?
Yeah.
I mean, this is his first fight back since then. But man, Perez, he's got solid jiu-jitsu. I think his boxing's underrated. He's a good fucking fighter. And I don't think this is going to be exactly a cakewalk for Almabayev, a guy who's only finished Ode Osborne in the UFC. You keep Alex Perez hanging around. I like Alex Perez's finishing equity a little more than I like Almabayev's, if I'm being completely honest. Does Perez look completely shot after, you know, coming back from a shredded knee? Who knows? Possibly. But if the line is disrespectful enough, I like Alex Perez. He's probably going to be the dog here. If that line is wide enough, I'll take Alex Perez here. I'll take a shot on Perez because I think he's a very good fighter. And for some reason, people just want to fade him because he's always pulling out of fights. Half of that is not even his fault. He gets hurt a lot. But when the guy is healthy, the guy is fucking on. Give me Almabayev. He should win this fight. But I like Alex Perez as a play.
Yeah, I got Alex Perez sitting at plus 162. It's not the sexiest line, but Vegas respects Alex Perez clearly. And I do too. I think his takedown defense is underrated as shit. He's probably going to be the better striker here in a lot of ways. Almabayev, he should be able to get his wrestling and grappling going. So I'm going to take him as a lean plus Alex Perez shredding his knee plus Alex Perez's inactivity. A lot of factors as to why I don't like Alex Perez in this spot, particular as well too. It's also 3 rounds. I could see Almabayev just controlling him for 2 of them.
I get it.
If it was a 5-round fight, I'd have a little more faith in Alex Perez, who can grapple his ass off as well.
I mean, that was the problem in the Yakhyaev fight, right? I mean, he looked really good against Yakhyaev, but Yakhyaev just like sold out for the wrestling, so Perez wasn't really able to get off his striking as much as he should have.
And if it was 5 rounds, Perez probably stops him. Like,
Perez was winning those exchanges.
Yes, and that could look a lot like this fight. I trust Almabayev's process a little more than Yakhyaev's, so I'm going to lean him for that reason. And the fact that it is 3 rounds, but if this was a 5-round fight, ladies and gentlemen, I think Alex Perez would be live as fuck. I don't think the line's disrespectful enough for me to get there.
They are in Qatar, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, if this fight's close, I'm going to expect him to lean Azul, and that's exactly why I'm going to lean Azul by decision here. I think he's going to find a way to control him for minutes at a time, unfortunately. Make this boring, hug him, coddle him, whisper sweet nothings.
Careless whispers, some might say.
Yeah.
Cue to George Michaels.
And I think that's how this fight's going to go. Plus, with Alex Perez coming off that injury, man, I just have a lot of questions. Plus his age, wear and tear.
Yeah.
A lot of things. There's a lot of questions on him. And it's crazy because, you know what? I said his age. Yeah, he's 33, but at flyweight, it's aging considering his injury history. So
I'm willing to take the shot. I mean, he's got to look washed. Once he looks washed,
yeah,
I'm with everybody, but he just hasn't, in my opinion.
This is a good jumping spot, live bet wise.
That's true.
And I think that's how you should look at this contest. And I think that's how I'm going to play it. I may not touch it because I don't like touching too many decision props when you let these guys hang around.
In Qatar,
like, we'll see how we play it when it comes fight night.
That's true.
But I think I'm a buy it by decision or dog or pass here, and that's where I'm at. But I'm a buy officially for the podcast.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the co-main event of the evening at men's welterweight. We have, remember the name, Belal Muhammad going one-on-one with the future, Ian Machado Gary. Muhammad is 24-4 overall, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, 37 years old. Gary is 16-1 overall, fighting out of Ireland, hailing from Ireland, 28 years old. This is a banger fight, low-key. A fight between 2 gentlemen who are very high IQ, very technical in their own individual ways, very smart fighters. This is going to be a chess match, and it's a chess match I'm kind of looking forward to. I mean, is this a 3-round fight? Probably is. It's a little unfortunate that it's a 3-round fight. I would like to see these guys kind of go 5 rounds. That being said, listen, I remember the name. I respect the name. I love Belal Muhammad. I know people hate him. I think some of that hate is unjustified. I'm just going to throw it out there. Now, some of the hate that Ian Gary gets, probably justified. I don't like the guy, but I'm picking the guy to win the fight here. And it's literally just because, like, you know, I just like Ian's process a little better. He's a safer fighter. He's a good fighter to bet because the man is very safe. He's very calculated. Does Belal have a path here? He does. I think if he sells out for the grappling here, I think he could probably control Ian on the ground for the most part. But Ian knows that. Ian is probably the better striker just because of the length.
And the size.
The size. He's got more tools. He'll throw leg kicks. The jab is going to reach before Muhammad's jab will reach. The jiu-jitsu is always a factor. I just like Gary's process here. I think the path is clearer for Muhammad, but tougher for Muhammad, if that makes any sense. I think Gary just keeps him on the outside, picks him apart, mixes in the occasional grappling, but he's going to play it safe. This fight probably goes to decision. Muhammad's chin is always a thing you want to question in particular fights.
I don't know, because after that last fight, I thought the same shit, and he took a ton of damage. And I'm not gonna say nothing, but there's a lot of allegedly shit I can mention on this podcast, and I won't. I think you guys know what I'm hinting at.
Play safe.
A little Twitter chain, X chain that talks about this,
allegedly.
with fighters post USADA allegedly looking a little crazy with their chins. So
you're not wrong.
It's just questionable. That's all. Allegedly.
But I'll take Ian Gary Machado here via decision, and I might sprinkle some late props if they look, you know, thick enough for the, you know, for the picking. But Gary's the side for me.
Yeah, I mean, this fucker can't keep getting away with this. And it bothers the shit out of me.
Getting away with this.
Yeah, I'm on my fucking Breaking Bad.
My Aaron Paul shit. Throw the gif up.
Oh my God. I you know, he said that the UFC made the matchup with him and Belal. I think he picked this matchup. He didn't want any part of Sean Brady. Huge nuts to Sean Brady, by the way. Big shout out. I'm not even a big fan of Sean Brady if you follow this podcast, but huge nuts taking on Mike Morales. I just think that Machado knew that was a tougher fight and ducked it. This is guy Belal who's a little older, a little slower. This is also a 3-round fight. If it was a 5-round fight, I would have a little more faith in Belal figuring this guy out and getting on the inside. I suspect Ian to use the teep kick to keep him on the outside, fight behind the jab. There's also a guy in Ian Gary who was able to fend off Shavkat's physicality. So I suspect he's going to be able to fend off a lot of the physicality from Belal, even though I think Belal's the better chain wrestler. So that's what makes this fight interesting. But I don't know if Belal's going to be able to hurt him in certain portions of this fight. I fucking hope I'm wrong here because I respect Belal. I like Belal as a fighter. I think he's super overlooked and unappreciated. This fucker's going to get away with this again. I think he's going to get this done via decision. I think Belal has got to sell out for the wrestling here. I think he's fully capable of doing it, which is the thing. I don't like his money line enough to get there. I'm curious to see what the decision lines look like because this is Qatar, ladies and gentlemen, and this is probably land that favors Belal. So if this fight is fucking close, I could see them giving it, even though I don't think that's what the UFC wants. I think the UFC wants to fucking push Gary, which I hate when the matchmaking is like this because it's
almost too obvious sometimes.
It feels like boxing. Like, you know, it's clear what they're fucking trying to do. And I hope Belal takes a big shit on the plans of what this organization is trying to do with Ian.
That'd be great. That'd be hilarious to watch.
I'll be honest with you guys. I thought Ian lost to Jeff Neal. If you watch that fight closely, I thought he lost that fight. I thought he clearly lost to MVP. And he got away with that one. He was fighting for his fucking life against Prates. Prates pretty much had doggy style position on him where he was trying to crawl away.
That was at the end of the fight.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If this was 5 rounds, I could see Belal breaking this fuck. But it's not 5 rounds. It's a 3-round fight. Ian knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. He's a high IQ fighter to his credit. He can't keep getting away with this. He consistently rides his own dick about how he lost better to Shavkat than everybody else. Oh, I lost better.
I lost better, bro.
Oh, I lost better, bro.
You can tell we're fans. We can tell we're fans.
Yeah. Right? You're a bitch, bro. Like, you know, and then you duck Sean Brady, who I think is a tough fight for you, man.
Joe.
I think Sean's a younger version of Belal. At least now, I think he's upped his game, even though he lost to Belal. I think he's upped his game enough where he could give Ian a lot crazier looks. Give me Ian Machado Gary to get this done via decision, but a huge distaste in my mouth, man. Pause. So, I hate this shit. I hate it. Fuck this. I didn't want to talk about this fight anymore. Let's move on.
Next fight on the card at lightweight, and is currently constituted the main event of the evening. We have Arman Tsarukyan going one-on-one with the Hangman, Dan Hooker. Tsarukyan is 22-3 overall, fighting out of Russia but repping Armenia, 29 years old. Hooker is 24-12 overall, fighting out of New Zealand, repping New Zealand, 35. years old. This is going to be a fun fight, probably for as long as it lasts. I don't expect this one to go all 5 rounds, in my opinion here. And I guess I'm going to be leaning Arman. Now, people might say, why leaning Arman? I mean, Hooker had a lot of success against Gamrot in his previous fight. Sure, you can use that as a catalyst to kind of like, get a gauge on how you feel Hooker is going to, deal with Tsarukyan's grappling. But Tsarukyan can throw a punch. Tsarukyan can hit. He can strike. And, Hooker's chin, last I remember, wasn't the greatest.
Not anymore.
Hooker, he's a very kill or be killed in there sometimes, and I think Tsarukyan can find a finish. Tsarukyan is a very good grappler. He's a very good ground and pound fighter. A guy who's not afraid to look for submissions either. He's just well-rounded. Now, like the questions I have about Tsarukyan is like, how dedicated he is to the game, how locked in he is into the game. Because, unlike a lot of MMA fighters, Tsarukyan don't really need this for the money. He don't fight for the money here.
He comes for money.
He comes from money.
Yeah.
And he just fights for the love of the game. He fights because he wants the chip. It's a different kind of motivation when it comes to Tsarukyan.
Which I think can make him scary in a lot of ways too.
I agree. So as much as I like Dan Hooker, as much as I think he's probably a little more dynamic on the feet, he's got like more tools, he'll use kicks a little more. His striking array is a little vast and, a little more diverse than Tsarukyan's. I think Tsarukyan is just, even though he's a little more bread and butter, I think he's going to cut to the chase, cut to the butter, cut the bread, maybe cut down Hooker. He might beat Hooker's ass. That's what I could see it going that way. But I'll be leaning Tsarukyan here for the win. I think he gets this one done ITD. Don't know. I'd probably lean KO over the sub, but I wouldn't rule out the sub either. I like fight doesn't go. I like the unders. Give me Arman for the win here. ITD.
Yeah, they got Arman sitting at anywhere between -385 to -550 on some books. And I think that line is a little crazy.
That's a bit wide.
They have Dan sitting at +400 on some books. But if you're asking me, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have to play Dan by knockout here. He's not winning the minutes in this fight. He's not going to choke Arman either. That's not going to happen.
No, Arman had a very successful fight against Charles Oliveira where you can tell he's been working on his grappling defense and, the man will not be put out.
And by the way, his last 3 contests have all been grappling matches in Karate Combat, 80XC and ACBJJ. Where
what about the ABCDs and the EFGs and the LMLPs? You feel me?
Yeah. But he actually rear naked choked Patricky Pitbull in one of those contests, who can grapple his ass off. And then arm triangle Benson Henderson, who, even though he's older, can grapple his ass off. He's a very hard guy to finish in a grappling contest. I've maintained that Arman Tsarukyan is the best freestyle wrestler, pure wrestler in this division. I think it's the toughest fight for Topuria. He's a guy on short notice who gave Islam all he could handle and out-wrestled Islam in many of those scrambles. He's the better wrestler, in my opinion. He's a much better wrestler than Islam.
Easy. You're gonna upset the Makhachev fans, bro.
I'm just being real. I'm just being real, man.
Don't get them riled up.
Yeah, I mean, and he lost to Gamrot, but you watch that fight back, Arman won that fight. That was a fucking robbery, to be frank with you. I think they mistaken on the replay. Arman tripped. It looked like a knockdown, though, to the judges. But even with that, I thought he did enough to win the fight. I thought he won the wrestling exchanges. I thought he looked like the more physically imposing guy in there. Gamrot's a fraud. Arman has increased his game so much since then. He has a better kicking game than Gamrot. I also think he has better power and more physicality than Gamrot. So I faded Gamrot against Hooker. And I didn't think that fight was close, even though it went to split decision. I thought Hooker clearly won. He was sitting around these odds. I think these lines are a little more justified. I think Arman is going to be able to get his wrestling going because he's a better wrestler than Gamrot. I wouldn't say better grappler, but I could see a submission here because Dan does tend to leave his neck in certain odd places as well as give up his back to get back up to his feet. Arman should find a sub here, but as well too, there is a path here with Arman to get caught by Dan because Dan is very good with his knees, can get them upward in certain angles that other fighters can't, and Arman is a little fucking chinny. I like the unders more than anything in this fight. If this fight somehow got dragged to decision, I would not be surprised, but if it gets dragged to decision, it's Arman winning this fight. Give me Arman, I'll say ITD here. Not with a high degree of confidence. I love the unders if it's a nice high number, like a -3.5 or 4.5, but give me Arman ITD here. I think he figured it out. I think he has a better sequence with the kicks, his punching. He likes a Superman punch and jab off of his Superman switch stances with his feet. I think he has just a variety of ways he can figure this out.
Wait, so what you're telling me is that you don't have to play Grand Theft Auto to see a man beat up a hooker. That's what you're trying to tell me right now.
Well, what I am saying is that Hooker might actually have a hooker's jaw with all the damage that he's taken.
Oh my God.
at this point of his career, and I'm just, it's questionable.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. And if Arman clips him, I'm not going to be surprised. But I could see a clubbing sub here. Like, that can also happen.
I agree.
Give me Arman ITD here. But we'll see how we play closer to fight time. Violence is definitely the way to look at this.
And that does it for UFC Qatar. That's our MMA coverage. Moving right along to the sweet science. We're going to be kicking it off with the women fighting for the Ring Magazine and WBO World Super Flyweight title. We have Mizuki Hiruta going one-on-one with Gloria Guerrero. Mizuki, the champion, is perfect. 9-0. Fighting out of Tokyo, 29 years old. Gloria, 16-3-3 overall. The challenger is fighting out of Mexico, 31 years old.
Yeah, so this is an easy fight to break down. I think this is Mizuki's fight to lose. She's the better athlete. She's going to be the bigger girl. Guerrero, she's a plotter, moves forward. The only way she can win this fight is if she makes this fight dirty. But I'm going to be honest with you, I just feel like Mizuki is just a next level athlete next to this girl. She is the better technical boxer. She's going to have the better boxing acumen here. I think there's an easy Mizuki decision victory, to be frank. Guerrero has a decent chin. Mizuki doesn't have the biggest power. Give me Mizuki by decision here. I think she's going to figure this out. And if she wants to get her out of there, she probably could. But I think I'm going to give Gloria enough credit where I think she's enough of a dog to hang in there for the decision.
Moving right along from Long Beach, California to Japan, we have for the WBC World Bantamweight title, Tenshin Nasukawa going one-on-one with Takuma Inoue. Nasukawa is perfect. 7-0. Fighting out of Japan, repping Japan, 27 years old. Takuma is 20-2 overall. Also fighting out of Japan, also repping Japan, 29 years old.
Takuma Inoue, the brother of the pound for pound great right now, Naoya Inoue. He's not Naoya Inoue. That's unfortunately the case here. I feel like this is going to be Tenshin's fight to lose for a couple of reasons. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Takuma doesn't have a path here. If he could just keep him on the outside and, box his face off. But Tenshin Nasukawa, some of you are familiar. He's the guy that had the exhibition match with Floyd Mayweather, got stopped in the first round. Granted, some people are going to look at that like it was kind of fluky, this and that. He was giving up about 20 to 30 pounds to Floyd in that fight, and he was going against one of the best defensive boxers in the world, and it was technically kind of his first boxing match. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass there. Since then, he's rallied off a couple of wins. He doesn't have like the biggest power. Well, I won't go that far. He doesn't have that biggest power in terms of results. He does crack. The problem is he kind of just finds his way into decisions here. Takuma Inoue, also a guy that has really good boxing acumen, but does not have a lot of pop in his shots. He is a guy that lost his last fight to Tazumi because Tazumi is a pressure boxer. Nasukawa is also a pressure boxer that hits hard. Same thing as Tazumi. I expect a lot of the same here. I don't like that this is, similar opponent. Nasukawa's real flaw is defensively because he backs straight up. But this is a guy in Takuma that doesn't throw in combination often and is kind of a counter boxer. So I feel like where Takuma can shine is when Nasukawa is going to be a little safe because he's not going to get chased after. Typically, if you back straight up, ladies and gentlemen, the guys who could damage you are the guys who are combination boxers that will throw down the pipe because you're going straight back. Takuma's not going to do that. The betting line here is a little, I don't love it too much, to be frank with you. I see that they have Takuma lined at a plus 400. If you're going to bet Takuma, you bet the decision. So I'm assuming it's going to be higher than plus 400. Nasukawa is sitting at a minus 650. Minus 650 implies that he's probably going to knock him out. I won't go that far. He does have the power to hurt him. I will be looking at the drops on the Takuma, the Tenshin side for this fight. But if you like Takuma, I think you play the decision here. That's how we'll look at this fight. Not sure if I'm going to get to this fight just because I don't think the lines are favorable in either direction. They're kind of making you make a hard decision, whether it's dog or pass, or you bet to Nasukawa for the stoppage. The thing is, Takuma has never been stopped, if I'm correct. Yeah, he's only lost 2 decisions unanimously, and that's because he took damage later in the fight via droppage, which is why I think the Nasukawa droppage, like him dropping him, is something to look at. But once again, it depends on value. I'm going to lean Nasukawa in this fight. Could Takuma pull this out? Sure. Is the value play on the Takuma side? Yes, via decision. I'm just not sure I'm going to get there because I think Tenshin's offense is pretty good for someone who is pretty much a novice in boxing. He does have a kickboxing background, and it seems like he's been able to translate it into this part of boxing, into this new career of boxing. And he's also much more explosive than Tazumi, who is Inoue's last opponent. It's high variance fight. That's my point. So dog or pass, I'm going to lead Nasukawa here. Inoue by decision if you like the dog. Not sure if I'm going to touch this fight at all.
Moving right along from Japan to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we have a quartet of championship fights, and we'll be kicking it off with Jesse Bam Rodriguez going one-on-one with Fernando Martinez for the Ring Magazine, the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF World Super Flyweight titles. Rodriguez is 22-0. Perfect. The champion is fighting out of San Antonio, Texas, 25 years old. Martinez is also perfect. Also a champion fighting out of Argentina, repping Argentina, 34 years old.
So this fight's going to be probably fight of the night for a lot of reasons. Martinez walks forward, throws a lot of shots. He hits hard too, has decent pop at his hands. He has 23 wins, 17 of them come by the way of knockout. He only has one loss via decision. The problem is none of those guys that he has fought are Jesse Bam Rodriguez. This guy's a pound for pound, top 10 minimum, arguably top 5 fighter in the world. Better footwork in my opinion. Martinez is susceptible to the body. Bam is one of the best body punchers in boxing. Even if he gets hurt, he figures it out and he finds a way to get the stoppage. That fight against Gallo is fucking insane. This is a big step up from Martinez. He is older here. He's going to be at a slight size disadvantage here. He's going to be a 9-year elder to Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I expect Bam to get this done in the middle to late rounds. I expect him to knock him out probably via body shot because Fernando Martinez has a decent chin. He has been wobbled too in the past on the head by other opponents. He has not fought Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez should pack up Martinez, even though he is a dog, an undefeated dog here. Give me Bam Rodriguez to get this done mid to late round stoppage.
Next fight on the card for the WBO World Lightweight title, we have Abdullah Mason going one-on-one with Sam Noakes. Mason is perfect, 19-0, fighting out of Cleveland, Ohio, 21 years old. Noakes, perfect, 17-0, fighting out of England, repping England, 28 years old.
This is one of the more interesting fights on the card, and it's more closely aligned. They have Sam Noakes sitting at a plus 310, which in boxing terms means it's a closer fight than people are, it's a closer fight than most of the other fights on the card. Sam Noakes has decent power. The dude can crack. He has a lot of stoppage wins on his resume. The problem is he's going against a young, hungry lion in Abdullah Mason, who's going to be about 7 years younger than him as a 21-year-old. Sam Noakes sitting at 28 years old. He's going to be giving up an inch in height, and I believe Abdullah Mason also has the reach advantage in this fight. He is a stud. He hits harder. He's had more professional fights. What interests me in this fight is Sam Noakes for a possible drop because he does have enough pop in his hands and Abdullah does get overly aggressive when he doesn't need to.
Especially early.
The boxing acumen's close, but if you're asking me, I think Abdullah Mason is much more explosive. I think he has a little more pop in his hands, and I think he's going to be a lot faster than Noakes in there. I think the speed is going to kill, just like the Bam Rodriguez fight. I think speed in both of those fights is going to be a big difference maker in who gets it done. And I think Abdullah Mason and Bam Rodriguez have that speed advantage in this fight. Sam Noakes is a plotter. I'm interested to see Noakes' knockdowns. Just curious to see if there's good value there. But I suspect that Abdullah Mason, who also has the better brand of competition, is going to figure out Noakes and probably knock him out at some point in this fight. I'm curious where they're going to set the unders. If it's a high number, I think you should play it. I'll give Noakes a little credit. This is probably one of the better fighters that Mason has fought, but Mason hasn't shown me anything that screams that this fight's going to go to decision. This dude comes to kill, and if you're not ready to take him out first, he's going to take you out, in my opinion. That's why I think the Noakes knockdowns is very interesting because he could drop him in this fight. He does have enough pop, and Abdullah does leave himself open in certain parts of this fight, in certain portions of his previous contest, rather. So give me Abdullah Mason to win this fight via knockout. Love the unders. We see how we play it closer to fight time, but I don't love the minus money value on Abdullah, but I just feel like he's the better, more complete fighter in this contest. Give me Abdullah Mason to figure this out via knockout.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the co-main event of the evening for the WBO World Welterweight title, we have Brian Norman Jr. going one-on-one with Devin Haney. Brian Norman Jr., aka the Assassin 2, is perfect. 28-0. The champion is fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, 24 years old. Devin the Dream Haney is also technically perfect. 32-0. The challenger is fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He is 27 years old.
This is one of those fights where if this was 3-4 years ago, I'd pick Haney. But man, Haney has had a tragic fall, not only from the media eye, but also on the ring. Got his ass whooped by Ryan Garcia. Cried and bitched and clawed to get that turned into a no contest. Questionable chin, still some defensive deficiencies in my opinion. Had his last fight against, I think, Ramos, and Ramos is a shot fighter at this point.
Yeah.
And he let him linger around and hang around, and he practically ran away for the whole fucking fight, to be frank. It was just not a good look. And that's a guy that if Devin wanted to put his foot on the gas,
Devin could have packed him up.
he probably could have packed him up.
Could have got him out of there for sure.
And I'm not lying to you. I just have a lot of fucking questions about Devin Haney and this portion of his career. And he's going out big sad. And by the way, correction, it was not Ramos, it's Ramirez. Jose Ramirez, I apologize. I'm thinking about the Angel brothers. Sorry, but they're in a higher weight class. But Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez was pretty much on the brink of retirement, got a huge bag to come back out for that fight. And Devin looked fucking horrid in it. Then basically sucked his own dick after the fight. It was like, yeah, well, I won my fight. Ryan didn't win his, but still needs to fight Ryan some way or the other to justify that he's not a little bit of a fraud. I have serious questions about that fight. Was he just trying to get his legs under him and trying to get that in-ring experience again and get the W under his belt? Or is this guy the new Meldrick Taylor after what fucking Ryan Garcia did to him? Another thing is, huge shout out to the Sean Porter podcast, the Porter Way, if I'm correct. You should call it the Porter House, but just want to put that out for you, big bro. I love you. I love your fight style, by the way. Huge shout out to Sean Porter. Took my dad to his first boxing fight. It was Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman. Very close fight. I kind of edged it for Porter in that fight biasly. Just gonna put that out there. But Sean Porter, you called it out, and I'm gonna stand on it. You said that Devin Haney would find any way out of this motherfucking contest. And guess what? He started bitching about some of the contractual issues, this and that. And since you had put that out and that information out a few weeks prior to the contest, I feel like Devin had to stand on it and kind of stand in the contest because it got a lot of traction that you put him on blast about him trying to get out of this contest. So huge shout out to Sean Porter. Another reason for me to question Devin Haney in this contest. Brian Norman Jr., ladies and gentlemen, I think he has arrived. And I've been on this guy for his last couple of fights.
Hey, yo.
Pause. Yeah, respectfully. He did what he had to do against Santillan when he was a huge underdog. Cuevas, a big puncher, even though he was cutting a lot of weight to make the weight, got him out of there, and no one's really ever done that to Cuevas, respectfully. Sasaki, yes, chinny, yes, hittable. Brian was able to hit him in ways that I've never seen him get hit, and not even flush on the chin. Certain parts of his head, and hurt him, or dropped him 3 times. Knockout of the year candidate. And I think that's how he got his way into this fight. He is going to be at an inch disadvantage in the height, but he's going to have an inch advantage in the reach. I'm leaning Brian Norman Jr. in this fight, ladies and gentlemen, for a couple of reasons. Everything I just mentioned about Haney, I had to get that out the way because I don't even want to talk about him going forward in this podcast. I just wanted to just let the audience know why I have so many questions about him. This is a guy in Brian Norman Jr., good boxing acumen, good power, physical, good chin, against a guy who doesn't have the biggest pop, even though he is moving up in weight. The only thing that gives me any room for concern in this fight is that I think Bill Haney manages his son so excellently. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this is a guy in Brian Norman that might be a little bit of a bad matchup for him. He's not gonna be able to pop shot Brian Norman the same way he did against Jose Ramirez. He's gonna have to stand there and fight him in certain parts of this fight. Brian Norman can land on any part of this guy's head, and I think he will wobble him. I think Brian Norman also, even if Devin Haney does address the left hook, right hook issues with getting his hand up when he's leaning with the jab, it's probably the right hand because he's an orthodox fighter, so he's going to lean with the left hand, touch him. Even if he does address that issue, Brian has a very slick way of throwing the hook and making it land as a medium to lateral attack. So throwing the hook up the middle. Almost like a hook uppercut. Very good at landing it. Very accurate. he's gonna find moments to land on Haney in this fight. I don't know if Haney's gonna be able to keep this guy up for the whole fight. He was a dog. He is now flipped to favorite money. I still like him in this fight. There's a good possibility he stops him, but the money line is good at -125, -130. I'm leaning Brian Norman Jr. He's been more active. He has the bigger power against a chinnier opponent. He has better defense, in my opinion, which is crazy. He's the better fighter, in my opinion. And this is Haney pretty much still getting acclimated to this new weight class. Everything points to playing Brian Norman in this fight. Give me Brian Norman Jr. to get this done. I'll say late round stoppage decision here, man. I'm going to be looking at a lot of props for this fight. I like the money line here. I think Brian's going to get it done. Give me Brian Norman Jr. here, ladies and gentlemen.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the main event of the evening for the WBC World Light Heavyweight title. We have David Benavidez going one-on-one with Anthony Yarde. El Monstro is perfect. 30-0. The champion is fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. 28 years old. Yarde, the beast from the East, is 27-3 overall. The challenger is fighting out of England, repping England, 34 years old.
El Monstro has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a fight where I feel like he's been having a hard time getting a lot of these other boys to sign the piece of paper to fight him. Anthony Yarde can crack. He is very dangerous early. And sorry, this is going to be a lot quicker than the last fight, but there's just a lot more detail and a lot more backstory to the Haney-Norman fight. This one I think is straightforward. I think Anthony Yarde, very talented physically, going to be one of the bigger guys, more physical guys that David Benavidez has fought. Benavidez is going to be taller. He's also going to have the reach advantage. He takes away your exits, so I feel like he's gonna be a fucking tidal wave, especially to the mid to late rounds of this fight, where he's gonna get downhill on Yarde, especially after Yarde kind of blows his low pause.
Hey,
Anthony Yarde did show some wrinkles and betterment in his game, defeating Lyndon Arthur, who was one of his few losses, and he beat him the second and third time, stopped him second time with a knockout, beat him via the unanimous decision the last time. His only other two stoppages are to Sergey Kovalev and Arthur Beterbiev. Nothing to sneeze at. But this is a guy who, and David Benavidez, who, I'll be honest with you, he doesn't have the one-shot pop knockout power like those two, but his volume, his chin, Yarde's questionable gas tank down the stretches of fights, Monstro's ability to get downhill, pressure you, make bad decisions, take away your exits. I just feel like mid to late rounds, Benavidez is going to stop Yarde here, man. And Yarde, 34 years old, had a lot of wear and tear on the tires, been stopped twice. I think Monstro is going to get his way in this fight, ladies and gentlemen. Then he's going to call for Bivol and Beterbiev rather. And we'll see who's less of a pussy and will actually fight him. Beterbiev, I think, is the tougher matchup. Bivol, there's a lot of rumors coming out of that camp that Bivol got dropped by Benavidez when they sparred together.
Ooh, rumors.
And dude, the legends keep getting spookier about David Benavidez as this fight gets closer. So for me, this is Benavidez' fight to lose. I expect him to get downhill, mid to late round stoppage, David Benavidez for the win.
And that does it for our boxing coverage. That does it for our MMA coverage. That does it for the podcast. Episode 123 is in the books. Without further ado, let's take it home, my brother.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
If you haven't already, if you are enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, what are you waiting for? Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Episode 123 in the books. No MMA next week, ladies and gentlemen. So follow us up. We're going to have a small boxing podcast for you guys, for all the boxing fans, all the boxing heads. Tune in for episode 124. Won't be as long as this one. There was just a lot of good fights to cover on this one. Thank you for hanging around. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get to 200 subs by the end of the year. We're very close. We're 5 away. Hook us up. It's free 99, as you know. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. See you next week for episode 124. Peace.